doubts, you guys kind of, we've gone through this now, what kind of doubts come up in your mind about banter and doubting yourself and all that kind of stuff? Let's say you banter with a girl and she gives you a negative reaction. How are you guys going to react to that? And that's where indifference comes in, right? So the difference that makes a difference is indifference. We do not care about the outcome of what is going to happen. We care about the actions of what we're doing and the fun that we're having when we're doing it. So, banter doubt. Brent, what happens when you're out and you say, "Hey, darling, how you doing?" She says, "I'm fine." And you say, "Oh, my glutes feel really hot tonight," and she walks right away. You know, how are you guys going to react to that is a real question, or how do we react to it?
Well, or what if she says, "What?" Like that?
Yep.
Like, what are you talking about? Don't be such an idiot. Like, you know,
Right.
Let's imagine the worst case scenario.
Right.
Like, that's, you know what? I've heard about you guys. You guys are disgusting the way you teach guys about women and all. Right? What do you say?
I say, "That is the hottest thing I've ever heard a woman say to me before." And she looks at me and she goes, "What?" And I go, "God, that's hot.
Stop turning me on.
You disgust me. I can't believe you're talking to me this way." The girl might say, "Oh, wow. I'm so into you, I can't even tell you. This is like turning me on like no one's business." We've done that so many times, guys. Not that it happens to us very often, but it does happen where a girl will be like in a bad mood or having some kind of attitude about something. And the more you tell her how hot it is, first of all, she's not even going to say anything to you if she even cared, by the way. No one gives you a negative response unless they care.
Right.
When you know they don't care is when they just look at you and walk away. But if they have the time to tell you that you disgust them, right, or they're upset with you or whatever, and I'm not telling you to go around and discuss people or piss them off or whatever, but if they have the time to do that, they're doing it because they care to some level or they wouldn't even spend the time doing it.
And anger is very close to passion and arousal, so it's a it's a related emotion.
Right. So the bottom line is, by telling them that it's so hot, they're actually, a lot of times, it turns them around to their enemy. I can't tell you, it's happened many times.
Many times. We've done it 100 times at least this year.
I mean, I was in Europe with Rich H one time, and this Romanian girl, all she told me, "You're disgusting. You think because you're American and you have money, you could do this and this and this." And this girl was like a 10. She was so hot. And I'm just like, "Yeah, that's so hot. You're turning me on. You are a pig," this and that. And oh, man, this is hot. By the way, I did nothing to her except for I was hanging out with her earlier in the night, and we had a party, and there was like 20 people. And I have friends that live there where Rick lives, and I was moving and talking to different girls, and she got mad about that because I wasn't spending the whole night hanging out with her. That's all I was doing. I didn't do anything but that I wasn't spending my night hanging out with her. So I got to the end of the night, and finally, after about, 10, 15 minutes of her telling me, and I was just experimenting because I'm like, this is still going on. This girl must be in love with me if she's going to keep saying this to me. Finally, she goes, "Okay, would you like to go to the next club with me now?" And that was it. And she was all into me after that. So the whole thing of banter, you're being indifferent and not caring about the outcome. Anything could happen once you're to
right.
that
So
that
basically,
point.
some guys call it being tested. Right.
Yep.
So the way you respond to tests or any off-color comment or something is, look, if you're that into me, just come out and say it. Let's not beat around the proverbial bush. Just tell me that you want to make out with me. I mean, it's very simple. Like I said earlier, we're both adults. Just get it on. You know, hey, I might be interested. So we just turn it into something positive,
right?
Because we already know where it's going. So we just continually say, "That is so hot. I'm getting so aroused right now."
And to go back to go back into our system a little bit when it comes to this and how it relates is, I always tell guys when we go out with them, I'll say, "You guys go out. Let's say we're coaching, or you're just out on a normal night, and you're walking by, and some girl that's kind of cute walks by, or some girl, and you say, 'Hey, how's it going?' Or you say something to her, and she just walks by and ignores you. How do you guys feel about that? Or you go out, and how do you feel the next day if you never got a girl's number, if you're into getting numbers, no, you didn't really have great talks, interactions with women, and you went home alone?" And a lot of guys say, "Well, I feel like kind of a loser if that happens to me." Well, we don't care about any of that happening ever, because we're out to just have fun and entertain ourselves, and whatever ends up happening happens, and always stuff happens because we don't care. So the bottom line is, when a girl walks by you and you say something to her and she walks by you, that doesn't have anything to do with you. She could be having to go to the bathroom really bad. Her friend could be crying in the bathroom. She could be in a bad mood, or she might not like you, but we don't care because we don't want to figure out what her issue is. Our issue is we want to have fun. And we have other issues too, of course.
Yeah.
But we want to have fun. So the whole thing of banter, that's where it all falls into what we do in our system is, it's about us and us enjoying ourselves. It's not about the reactions we're getting to random people that have bad energy.
Well, yeah, our filter is different, We reframe everything. So comes in the funnel. I don't care if it's positive or negative, it's always positive.
Yep.
I just switch it. It's like having a converter, right? At all times. I convert everything into how it's hot and how it's the next level and how it's the next opportunity for me and how it's the greatest thing I've ever heard. And right, so, and that's how I live my whole life, by the way. No matter what happens in business or anything that gets thrown in my way that would be a roadblock, I just say, awesome. I get used to saying that to myself. I go, awesome. So another opportunity to take my, social life to the next level. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Right?
So
like instead of buying into it, we always say, so it's not a problem. It's an opportunity. Right. So every time that something negative happens, we use it. Just like if you are having doubt about yourself, about like whether banter works or whether it works for you, you say, how can I use that doubt to take my social life to the next level? How could I use it? I could use it by taking responsibility and going to the next level.
Yeah.
And living at the next
level.
And
you know what? Let's say you start bantering with a girl and she just walks away. Great. She must be so into me she couldn't handle talking to me. That's what I'll tell myself. I mean, why do you have to put
She already knows that I'm going to sleep with her and never call her, and she just can't handle it. She's not ready for it yet.
Yeah. But
right?
she might come back.
It's always about like how it's a positive thing and how
right.
maybe she just figured it out and she's just not ready. She's not on that level emotionally yet to be able to handle a guy who can only be part of a physical relationship. And it's okay. I don't judge her. Maybe she just hasn't done enough work on herself.
And both of us, by the way, guys, we're speaking from experience. We've had girls that we've like went up and bantered or talked shit to that just like, I don't have any interest in this and walk away. 6 months later, we're out. Maybe ran into her a few other times and hey, how's it going? Always friendly because we always come from a good positive place. It's one of the most important thing of what we do. Suddenly it's 6 months later and she's like, can I talk to you? And it's always the same thing because we're never negative towards anyone. We always have a good frame of mind, and even if they have a bad reaction to us, we're like, oh, cool, whatever, walk by. We're going to let it roll off our back because we're not doing anything. We don't do things that are sneaky, underhanded when it comes to socializing with women or men. We come from a place of just enjoying ourselves and having fun and not being negative. So if negative people want to be around and they want to do negative things, that's great. They're not coming into my wheelhouse. I'm keeping them out, So that's the whole thing. Always it's a positive. No matter what happens, don't let someone else bring you down. The only person that can bring you down is you.
Yeah. One thing that I've realized over time, thousands of interactions, is people who are angry are never angry about what they say they're angry about. So a girl's never really angry with you. She's angry at the thought of you. She's angry at some trigger that you triggered inside of her about all the other guys like that, or an old boyfriend, or an old situation, or how, again, you've shown the light on an inadequacy that she has. It's never about you. So someone who comes up is angry, if you actually, I've done this, it's an incredible experiment where I'll just say, what are you really angry about? Yeah, I know, I get that you're mad. Okay, I acknowledge it, you're mad. Great, cool. So what are you really angry about though? Because you can't be angry at me, you just met me, and I'm a nice person, I'm coming from a good place, and I know that for a fact. And I don't want anything from you, so what are you really angry about?
And that could open the floodgates sometimes.
It can, but you know what, we've had some really great adventures happen from just asking that one question. And I've had girls say to me, well, honestly, I go, yeah, no, I want you to lie to me. Of course, honestly, tell me what it is that you're angry about. Well, I'm just angry that you get away with what you get away with, and I'm angry that you're not paying attention to me and I'm not going home with you. I go, so what you're saying is you want to go home with me. That's the reason you're angry? Yeah. I go, all right, let's get out of here then. Right? And I'm done. And I've done that a few times where he was there for a couple of them where some girl just misunderstood what we were about or said something. I think she was just playing with us, Like, oh, I bet I can break those guys down. They're not so cool, They're a challenge. I don't like the way you guys talk to guys about women. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, well, good. Cool, good for you. That's great. I'm not doing anything wrong, so I'm not going to apologize for it. It is what it is. Well, no, you don't understand. I really don't believe in any of that. I go, yeah, no, I heard you. And that's fine. That's cool. I don't need you to believe in it. It's okay. No, but I wanted to, and and I look. I go, okay, look. What's the bottom line? You're obviously, what are you really angry about, and what does it have to do with you wanting me? Because I know it's about you wanting me. Yeah, maybe it is. Because I'm just mad that you're not, you're probably going to leave with someone else, not me. I go, is it always that? Why don't you just come out and say it? Say what you want to say.
Exactly. So we touched on indifference. Brent, is there any more deep insights we can give into a difference? Because this is like kind of the segment about this, but I think we could get into a little more of the psychology of indifference and not caring about the outcome. We should really dig into that.
not caring, and first of all, not caring doesn't mean you're not a compassionate person and you're not capable of love and you don't like your family and all that kind of stuff. You're very, that's not what it is. It's really just not caring about the outcome either way, because the outcome really doesn't matter. And what I touched on earlier was that when you realize that all the things that you believe and all the things that you think mean something, you make them mean. You give them the meaning they have. Either you've learned it from someone else, television, society, your parents, your friends. They don't really mean that. It's all man-made. It's all fake. It's all an illusion. None of it's real. So you have to realize that, getting laid like 7 nights a week means what? It means whatever you give it meaning. If you give it the meaning that we give it, which is who cares?
Doesn't
then that's
matter.
what it means. If you say that would be the ultimate thing, and when I get down to the happiest guy in the world, then that's what it means to you. But it means whatever so you understand that everything that you think means something only means what you think it means. So you realize that none of it's real and it doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless. So it's not a big deal. That's why I tell you this. I don't want to take any steam out of your engine or anything. It's just that what we obsess about is not that important. We make it important. We make it like a big deal. It's not a big deal,
Nope.
right? Now, guys who don't have a great lifestyle with women will say, yeah, but you don't understand. You don't understand my situation is different because I'm just starting and I get rejected and I have negativity all around me. Yeah, no, I get that. But, listen, if you don't handle that right now, even when you get to another level, you'll still have it. You're still going to have it. And even when you get to the next level that you want, you're going to have another opportunity to then obsess, make excuses, resist.
Yep.
You're always going to have opportunities because there's always another level, right? So each time you get to this other level that you want to get to, you'll realize that it actually doesn't mean what you thought it meant, and so you'll think back and say, oh my God, that is really not a big deal. So just start out thinking it's not a big deal, and it will actually come to you much faster.
So in the world of indifference too, guys, where I talked about when you have these negative things happen, you're out bantering and girls ignore you, or you're out and things like that happen and negative things happen and we turn it into a positive. We don't care really what ends up happening either way. It's all a social experiment for us and we're out having fun and doing stuff. But in the same terms, again, it's just about having fun for us, when we have success, and let's say that girl says to us after, oh, you're disgusting, we start off with a negative and turns into a positive. Well, I want to go home with you now. We don't care if that happens either. We do not care about the outcome, either positive or negative. So that's an important thing to understand here. Positive outcome, if you think it's positive, which you're interested in sleeping with a girl, means the same to us as negative outcome or no outcome, because
we don't always take
care.
them up on it either.
No. Tons of times we...
Well, so what we were talking about it the other day, and I think I was saying, you don't want to... okay, the negative times that you have, the bad nights that you have when you're out, you shouldn't take those seriously. You should also not take the nights that you have that are great seriously, because neither of them mean anything. So you can't get attached to those either, right? Because neither of them mean anything. They're completely meaningless. It's all what you think it means, if that makes any sense at all.
Now, and to answer your question in your mind now that you're going, well, if it doesn't mean anything,
why would I do it?
Because the minute you don't care about anything is when all the things that you would like to happen, if you're interested in women, will all happen to you because you don't care about the outcome. The minute you stop caring about it is when things happen.
Right. Well, you can have whatever you're willing to give up.
Right.
You can have whatever you're willing to give up.
I know it's a hard concept, guys, but I swear it works over and over and over again. When you're desperate for something, you don't get it. When you just don't care, it comes to you. It happened I'm sure in every one of your lives somewhere it happened where the more you obsess upon it, it doesn't come, and the minute you just lay back, it comes to you. So that's the whole thing about indifference and why it's so powerful, and it goes through our whole system. It's not just with banter, it's with everything. So indifference is probably the most important thing almost to what we do. I mean, it really is.
It really is, it really is the key, because really once you get to that level where you understand that whether you succeed or not, it really doesn't matter because you're only keeping your own score, no one else is really keeping score, then you kind of let the floodgates go. You almost get rewarded. It's like this universe thing, or people like unconsciously reward people who don't care. Right? And I don't say in like an arrogant way, or I don't care because I'm a mean person, but the fact that you walk in and you're talking to people and you really don't care, they'll just hand you stuff. It's automatic, they just hand you stuff. You do it too. You do it too. It's like, you have like 8 people ask for a discount and they demand one, and then one guy starts kidding around, you give that guy, I mean, you know what I mean? Like the first person who lets up on you, you give them something. And it could be just attention, it could be something physical, it could be, something material. It's like the floodgates just open up, like an avalanche of stuff opens up. And it really is the moment that you truly give it up, it will start happening. It's like it'll change overnight, really.
Yeah. We had a guy we were coaching. We love this story. Is a lot of guys are always attached to the outcome of what happens, and it's like, oh, this just happened, and I'm like, so why do you care about that? And then the night went on, and I said it probably about 15 times to him. Finally, at the end of the night, this is the first night we were out when it was a whole weekend. He goes, if I don't care about this, why am I here? And I go, now you know why you're here, because you've just realized that when you stop caring, then everything that you want will come to you. It's that caring about the outcome that's stopping you from getting what you want, right?
Absolutely.
And the rest of the weekend he was great because he stopped worrying about what the outcome was and didn't care about what was going on. It was just go out, have fun, enjoy yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to go out. Everyone has different personalities and be in front of people's faces and nonstop bantering with them or whatever. But it's go out and enjoy yourself, whatever that is. We have some guys we go out with that just kind of hang back and just laugh and want to see what we do. And they learn from that and they do it in their own way later. We don't force people to get involved in this stuff. It's whatever their comfort level is. But the most important thing that they learn is that they watch us not care about what ends up happening when we're out with them, because we really do not care. All I care about is I get home safely and my friends get home safely and we had fun that night. That's all I care about.
Yeah. I even send out something before you come out for live coaching with us, who some of you in this room have received, that says, don't worry about how much you're going to get out of the weekend, and then you'll get more out of the weekend. So don't obsess about, I hope I'm going to learn a lot. Don't worry about it. So the moment you give up worrying about it, you'll learn a ton. It's in your not willing to give up that obsession with how much you're going to learn, how much am I going to get, that will stop you from getting it, will actually make you angry and upset about it. You've really just got to let that all go and let what happens, happens. Just let it in. It's like a wall that you put up. It's kind of like when we said, if you obsess about wanting something that you don't have, but you're only obsessing about the fact that you don't have it, and then you wonder why you never get it, it's because you're in that cycle, that never-ending cycle, because you've never really thought about what it would be like to have it, and you've never lived like you had it. You only live like, I want it, I don't have it, I'm angry that I don't have it, and why can't I have it? Why can't I get it? What's wrong with me? Maybe, and then you make a list of excuses. And most people live there, in that spot, their whole lives. They never figure it out, which is why most people are really angry and upset and just miserable for their whole lives, which is another reason why you should banter and have fun, because you got to realize that 99% of the people you come in contact with do not have it figured out. They have it figured out less than you do. Now they may be taking some courses, I don't know, maybe read some books and done some self-development, but most people don't do that. You're in the minority.
Most of it's smoke and mirrors when you're out with seeing people. Those people that you think are the most together and this and that going on, are most of the time, when we dig into them, we like to see through the facade. They're the biggest disasters. And again, hot chicks are the typical example. If you meet like really, really supermodel hot girls, they'll tell you a lot of times, a guy hasn't even asked me out in a year.
Exactly.
They don't get,
it's amazing.
Guys won't call them. Nothing happens with them. They have the worst self-esteem of anyone.
Well,
so you would look at this
exactly.
girl and go, oh, she has it all. She's a model. She's this, that. Most of the time, disaster, personal disaster, because of that.
Yeah. She wonders, really, what's wrong with me?
Right.
Because
What's the matter
I
with
keep
me? Yeah.
drawing the same two kind of guys. The guy who wants to marry me immediately and the guy who's absolutely clueless.
Or the guy that's creepy and
So
doing
maybe
the
it's
swingers
me.
on me. Yep.
And if that happens enough time, maybe it's me, but I'm super hot. See, so it's like, it's even worse than an average girl, because they're super hot and I should be able to live off my looks, and why can't I meet a cool guy? I never meet a cool guy. In fact, like, I intimidate guys. What is it about me? Am I putting this thing off, And it's like this crazy thing they go through. It's amazing when you speak to them. So another thing that we ask guys to do as a great exercise is to look at things from a woman's perspective. Whatever woman that you might be interested in, like a hot girl's perspective. What, like, in her shoes, what's an average night in her life like? What does she hear? What does she see? What kind of guys come up to her? I mean, it's really powerful, because when you look at it from their perspective, you'll see that the way that they treat you when you approach them the way all guys approach them is warranted. They think it's the best thing to do.
And because of that, sometimes you'll see this girl that's like a supermodel hot. I mean, we've been to Victoria's Secret fashion events and met, you know, some of the girls or whatever, they'll be so standoffish that people don't want to go up and talk to them. It's because they've had bad experiences and they have a little bit of negative energy, so it even makes it harder for guys to come up and talk to them. So they've either been through that experience or they don't let that give them negative energy, and then you go up and talk to them and they're just waiting for you to say one horrific, creepy thing to them, and they're just, oh, here it is again, and they're done.
And they're causing it also. They're they're causing their own misery
problem,
because they have limiting belief is that all men are assholes or all men are pigs or all the stereotypical things that women say. And we're all responsible for that, right? Now, it's but not in a bad way. I mean, you only know what you see and you're taught. So, I mean, everybody's cruising around without a compass. But we're all responsible for how we're perceived in society and social interactions. And so it makes sense to me. But that's why knowing how to banter and being indifferent and being the guy who most guys aren't is so powerful, because you can walk up and talk to them and find out they're really nice, they're really cool, and a guy hasn't talked to them in a long time. And they love the banter, and because you're not trying to pressure them and corner them and try to get their phone number and, hey, you know what, I'm going to take you out to a $1,000 dinner, because that's what they're used to.
Because you're indifferent.
You're indifferent.
And you don't care about the outcome. Just because she's supermodel hot doesn't matter.
How refreshing is that? So banter works on hotter girls easier than it works on average girls.
Yeah, it does.
And that's another thing you need to wrap your head around and not have a limiting belief about, because you will make up all kinds of excuses, right? And what's the biggest thing we always say as guys? Well, you know, I'm fine around girls I don't really want. But as soon as I see a girl that I really might be attracted to, everything changes. I change. I get nervous. I don't know what to frickin' say. I treat her differently. I perceive her differently.
And by the way, we go through that too, and we've
definitely
grown,
been through it, of course.
We've grown to go beyond that, but I can't even say once in a while I don't slip up, and then I slap myself across the head and go, what am I thinking? I don't care about the outcome of this. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it used to happen all the time to us. Like I'm sure it happens a lot to you guys, and then we grew beyond that. And maybe once in a while I'll slip up and I have to stop myself, but it's very, very rare.
We're just
now.
better these days about seeing it coming. Like, see, we used to just see it coming, but we were comfortable in our complaining about how bad it was for us, that we would just welcome it, rather than like now we just go like this. We just move to the side and let it go past. But we see it coming and we fix it before it becomes large. We say, slap ourselves or have a talk with ourselves or say, dude, what are you doing?
What are you thinking?
What are you thinking, dude? You know, and have to keep each other on track. But at least we see it coming because we've been through it so many times, and human behavior doesn't really change, so the signals are almost always the same. And it's like, that's the other thing is that you might want to throw in here is that there are only, with all the letter, all the words combinations that are possible in the world, there's only a few conversations that people have over and over and over and over and over again. And once you have had all the conversations, you will never be stumped again. You will never be at a loss for words again because it's always the same conversation. Every time I walk downstairs to this bar, it's like a broken record. I've heard it a million times. So why would I ever not know what to say next? I always know what to say. So that's what you have to look forward to. If you get out there and practice, humans don't come up with crazy combinations of words. They always use the same one. So once you have mastered those conversations and heard it all, you're just going to keep hearing the same thing over. And in your head, you're going to get quicker at, oh, I see where this is going. Right, okay. So I will now say this, or I know what she's thinking, okay, because I've been down this road like 100 times. Oh, she's that kind of girl, or he's that kind of person. Okay, so there's only a certain amount of conversations that people will ever have, which is interesting because I used to think, oh, well, I don't know what to say next and I'll be stumped. And then I thought, you know what? How is that possible? I mean, I haven't heard anything new in years. Like, everyone has the same conversation. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Oh, I'm great. What do you do? Where have you been? How you been? Like, what's been up with you? I mean, it's always the same conversation. We try to make it a little different by bantering, and we bring something new to it because, again, we're bored with the same conversations that we've had year after year, night after night.
And I think it's boring to people, whether you're talking to other guys or women when you're out, to have the same conversations.
And they want to have other conversations. But remember, again, they're terrified, they're caught in their own issues, and they want to be funny and all that kind of stuff. They just don't have time to try to be funny or to learn how to be funny or all these things. And so they just go out and like, okay, let's have the same conversation. So when you show up and can actually have a different conversation, again, it's something different. Because most people will just follow along with what you tell them to do. They will not want to lead you.
you guys, indifference is kind of when we talk to guys, it's sometimes one of the harder things for people to grasp because it's so, what, you don't care, so nothing, how does this all work?
How do I not care? That's
do you guys,
always the question.
We're going to probably spend a bit of time taking Q&A on this because I think we want to make sure you guys really understand what indifference is and how it works, because it's something you really need to master, and it's hard to master, but it's so simplistic, it's really easy. It's the easiest thing ever.
Well, we all went through it. I had to go through it. I had done a ton of work on myself. I had a ton of issues that I had to solve, and one of them was that the reason that I cared was that I was attached to something I was used to complaining about. So instead, like, it's always something ridiculous too. It's like, why do I care about that? Well, I keep holding on to it because I'm most comfortable when I can complain about how bad my life's going. And what would I actually do with my time if I didn't complain? I didn't even know. Like, I was so used to complaining about how, it's different for me. You don't understand. In this situation, I had this list of excuses, and I was attached to the list of excuses, reasons, all the evidence I had built. And I'd spent a lot of time building that evidence, years and years and years, and I did not want to let that go. It's a lot of hard work. Right? A lot of hard work creating the identity you've created for yourself. Not very easy to let it go overnight, right? So you will, and it's always, you always get, there's always a payoff, like for not taking responsibility and continuing to obsess and care too much about stuff you shouldn't care about. And it's usually just because you do want to be the victim. It's victim mentality.
And we meet some women love being victims. I mean, you can go out any night and have their victims much more than guys are victims. You can be a victim of yourself, but they'll actually tell you their victim stories right when you're out. Like, I meet so many women, it's like, oh, how's it going? Oh, yeah, this and that. And it's such bad energy. I don't even want to be around that,
I know. And it's like, wow.
So the minute you become indifferent, you let it roll right off your back and let her deal with her own issues and move on. I don't care how hot the girl is. If she's got those kind of issues, I don't want her around me.
Yeah. The payoff is much larger. What you get out of being indifferent is much bigger than what you get out of not being indifferent and continuing to avoid taking responsibility and resist. And you're just keeping yourself where you are,
So,
it's a fascinating subject.
So let's take a couple of questions on this. We'll start now, and then we're gonna have after a few of these have a break and continue on indifference, because I really want you guys to. I think this is a good spot for you guys to get engaged in this, because I want to make sure you really understand this important concept. So you had a question?
Isn't there a paradox in, on one hand, you're telling us, okay, you have to go home and write affirmations on all the things you want, and then you tell us not to care about the things we want, but yet we go through the effort of just, don't you think that going through the effort of writing down in the present tense with specifications all the things we want, doesn't that go by itself, by nature, against being indifferent?
No, I mean, if you don't care what you get, wouldn't you rather get something better than something worse? I mean, maybe you don't care that you get something worse, but I'm saying that that's the idea. And part of the process is creating this new story and then not caring if the story actually happens. And it's a very tough concept for most people to get.
That's why I really want to engage you guys here, to really ask questions about this, because indifference is a very hard concept for most guys to understand, most guys and gals, because you don't care about what the outcome of what happened, but you'd rather create a better outcome if you have a chance to create
Remember when I said being committed to the process is part of it? Right, so be committed to the process. You be committed to the process of making a statement of what you want, and then living like you're already having it, and then have it. And then you'll truly be given all of it, all that you're capable of, when you realize that everything you want means nothing.
That's the final piece of it all.
It's not a big deal. It's never a big deal. It's only the big deal that you make it. That's it. But it means nothing.
So what's important, I guess, is that I stay committed to the process of going out, and it's kind of hard to grasp because it's like going out and talking to people, but I know that in the end the outcome that I want is whatever it is, business, women, whatever.
Be committed to the process of doing it. Don't care about having it, and you'll have it.
Okay, right. Great. So you don't want it; it just happens.
Okay. Right. So you make the statement of what you want, and then you're committed to the process of having.
So I can make a statement and then just let it go, kind of?
Yeah,
Is that-
I mean,
okay.
well, yeah, I mean, no, focus on having. So it's like, I want this, great. So let's not talk about what you want anymore. Let's talk about what you have. You got to get off of wanting and on to having as soon as possible.
Right, because I write the affirmations in
Right.
the present tense like I already have
Exactly.
them. Okay, got it.
And then you'll just have. But you'll push against it if you are obsessed with having it and the fact that you don't have it yet.
Okay, so there's like a fine line.
Right? And so, and you'll really just have it the moment that you say, you know what? Having it will be great. But I'm great now too, you know. I'm happy now. I'll also be happy when I have it and when I have the next thing. But I'm happy now. So it's not like an end all. It's not like the answer.
And guys, to be clear, this is work too. This is why Brent's saying he actually has to spend the time putting those 2 glasses out and doing those kind of things for himself.
Yeah.
This is like he said. We have these guys that say, "Oh, this isn't working for me. It's not working." Well, yeah, they're doing it once a week or 2 times a week. It's consistent. It is. Anytime you're working on yourself to make your life better, it doesn't just happen instantaneously. You have to keep on the path, and you will veer off the path. Even what I just said. Sometimes I'll slip back into, I'm intimidated by that. Oh no, well forget that. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You will always veer off the path, no matter how experienced you are with it. You'll just learn to be less and less veering off the path as you keep working at it.
And I think we also have the reputations for just being party people, living the glamorous lifestyle, hanging out at parties and having off-the-hook social lives and stuff like that. But there's a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes. I mean, an enormous amount of work.
You don't end up
Right.
getting into, I mean, we'll talk about banter and how it works to get you in all kinds of places.
Yeah.
You don't even get into these places without being indifferent and having banter and manifesting that
Yeah.
to even be able to get to do what we
And you have to
want
do it a lot. We went out for 7 nights a week for years, until 4 or 5 in the morning every night. We met everyone there was to meet, went to every after party, every pre-party, every charity event, every award show, everybody's house. I mean, the whole thing. Put in a tremendous amount of work, which is how we also learned a lot about human behavior when we hung around a lot of people who were drunker than us, and just people who are at their best and at their worst. And you see it all, especially in a very creative atmosphere like Los Angeles. But even around the world, you see it all.
And people are people everywhere, and we can
they're
roll
the same
in.
everywhere.
We can roll into London, and oddly enough, people kind of travel in the same circles. We might run into someone we know from here.
Yeah.
They're oddly are from somewhere else. But even if we don't, we know now using banter and difference, manifestation, we can get into almost any exclusive event anywhere, and it just happens all the time.
But we also have to believe that that's possible for us too, and we have to believe that it's attainable and that we deserve it, and that
So there's
people
your
will
answer
wanna
right there.
hang out with us, and
We believe we can get into any event. We manifest that we're allowed to, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. So there's your.
But I'd
example
rather
of the
live
difference.
that life
Right.
than, obviously a worse life. That's just me. But I would really rather live an extraordinary life, even if I don't accomplish everything I set out to do, because at least I tried, and at least it wasn't laying on my couch and doing nothing, which is okay if that's what you want. But
And I had a quick other question. I know that people start at different levels, but I was just curious, how long did it take you guys? Because it seems like you've gone through a lot of self-help and doing all this stuff with the rituals, the daily rituals, and the affirmations. How long did it take you guys from going from where you stumbled
My whole life.
this thing? Your whole life.
yeah,
Yep. And
The
it's
whole
still
life.
continuing,
it's
by the
still
way.
continuing. Yeah,
We always are like, hey, the next level is this. We talk
Yeah.
about it. What's the next level? Oh, this. And then we're gonna do this and this. We still are always working at what's the next level. when
challenging
we talk about
ourselves.
it.
What I
Challenging
will say
ourselves.
about that is I get asked that question constantly. You'll never go as fast as you can. You will only go as fast as you will. And I'm not in charge of how fast you go. You are in charge of how fast you go. When are you ready to give everything up? Truly give it up. That's when you'll move
right.
fast to the next level. I can't tell you when that's going to happen because I will coach you and you'll put up some resistance and you'll only go and you might say, oh, well, dude, I was trying to do those affirmations and stuff, but I only did it 3 days this week. Like, even if I try to hold you accountable, I can't come to your house and make you do it, right? So there's some accountability on your end, too, for doing it.
We had just to talk about lifestyle stuff because, as you know, we're really into that stuff. This is how these things manifest with us, and it all has to do with our manifestation of what we do. We're in New York coaching, about 4 or 5 months ago, and maybe not even that long ago. Anyhow, we're just like, what are we going to do tonight? Suddenly we get a text, this models invite us to this charity event at a museum. we went to this, so we go, oh, this sounds cool.
We had met
so
her the night before
yeah, we met her
at
the night
another
before.
party on a
Right.
Wednesday night.
And so suddenly we're there and there's all these, it's probably, what, 70% women or something
Yeah,
like that.
it was
We're having a
huge.
great time, everything's great. Suddenly a text comes in. There's a Victoria's Secret fashion show. A buddy I know produces that. He meet me on the corner or whatever, immediately. And he goes, and so suddenly we're at this amazing party, and I'm like, we got to go to this thing now that was even more amazing because it's all the Victoria's Secret girl. I mean, I've been to this before, but it's just the bottom line of those kind of things happen because we're open to it and we don't care about the outcome. We would have been happy to stay at that thing, or we could have went, even the first event we got invited to, we could have found something else great to go to, but it was just that whole manifesting of the next level, the next level, the next level.
I'm not attached to it, though.
Yeah,
you
not
have
attached
to
to
not
it.
be attached to it. You
It
know,
just
there's
happens.
seriously, guys, I can't, drive this home enough. Attachment to everything will lead you to suffer your entire life. You've got to let everything go. You've got to let it all go. Or else you'll just be in like this mind prison forever. And all you'll do is suffer and be angry and disappointed. If you truly want to be free, you've got to give up your attachment to everything.
And make it really simple on yourself. Just think of yourself, if it's women that you're attached to, wanting to hook up with, put yourself in the shoes of you are a customer at a used car lot and that guy's following you around saying, now buy this car, now buy that car. The last thing you want to do is buy a car from this guy. I mean, you probably experienced this to some level somewhere. Think about yourself as that guy following a girl around and how you would feel if you were that girl putting yourself in the place of a customer on a used car lot with a schlocky used car salesman. You don't want to buy anything from that guy. Why would a woman want to buy something from you if you're attached to that kind of an outcome and you're behaving that way? So you have to detach yourself from that, right?
And, there's things that happen when other things don't happen that are even better than the things that you were obsessed with having happen. I can say that again. The things that you're obsessed with having happen, when they don't happen, sometimes it's because something else better is going to happen in place of that thing that you thought was actually the next level. You may be surprised, but if you are constantly worried about this, you will never get this over here. It will never even be possible because you're not open to it. Because you're obsessed with getting this. You need this. I have to have this to be happy. This is how I validate myself as a man. This is how I do all this stuff. I mean, come on. I get this, you're obsessed. You're never going to move beyond that. Sometimes what happens instead of what was supposed to happen is far better. And I learned that the hard way many times.
And it's just
completely surprised, knocked me off my seat like, whoa.
My example,
I can't believe if I wouldn't have been open to it, I would have never had this experience or this adventure.
Well, that's the example I just
gave.
gave. We're at this party with these, really hot girls at this charity event, and
we had just actually gotten in like 15 minutes ago. We're surrounded. We're talking to a bunch of people, getting pictures, and got all these,
and then
things
suddenly,
going on.
because we're open to it, we're going to the Victoria's Secret fashion show. We're hanging out with Victoria's Secret models, partying with them. Why? Because if we would have focused on just being able to go to that event, and that's our dream, that's all we're focused on, we wouldn't be open to having something else even much better happen to us. So hopefully that...
And when he told us, you got to come meet me in this alley right behind the back door, and then I'll walk you guys in. And it's in this old alley, right?
Yep.
It's not very nice. It's not upscale. But the door opens, and who comes out? Who's the first person that you walk in, and he's walking right past you?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Hey, well, Jay-Z, what's going on?
Right. And it was like this
guys,
thing, like,
you?
God, I can't believe I used to not be open to this kind of stuff and wouldn't be able to bring this to myself.
So that's what he said there. When you're attached to that one thing and you're focused on it, you're never going to the other thing that could happen that's better could happen to you, but you have to stay open in your mind. So hopefully that.
I mean, if you can just imagine like having a life where nothing bothers you ever.
It's
like
hard
you
to
never
do.
worry about a thing again ever. You have no negative emotions. You've turned them off like a light switch, and they remain off.
Aren't you an emotional shell?
I am an emotional shell. Thank you for noticing. I learned that from you, I think.
Yes. Emotions, what are those?
Emotionless.
Yes.
No, it's not that you don't have emotions. It's just that you have full control over them now. And which is something, again, most people will never do in their entire lifetime because they let their emotions control them because they think, oh, I have no control over it, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And, if I want to feel angry, I want to feel angry. Yeah, that's cool. I'm okay with feeling angry, but
let's get something straight here, guys, to not confuse it. It's not that your dog that you love died and you're not upset and crying or, that's a disaster in your life. It's the outcome of anything that... I always tell guys when they care about stuff, to get back to that one story, Why do you care what a stranger thinks about you? They're no one to you in your life. In the grand scheme of things, there's billions of people. They're no one to you in your life. The only people you should care about is your family, your close friends, your relative. You know, those are the people that mean something to you in your life. No one else, whatever they say to you. I mean, we could sit here. We don't know you guys. We could say you guys are this and that and this to you, to any of you personally. You don't know us. Why should you care what we think about anything?
But I mean, that's interesting that you mentioned that because, you know, I've even let all that go. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Not in a bad way. I mean, I care about my family. I love them dearly. We have a great relationship. But I've given up my cantankerous relationship that I had with them for many, many years because it wasn't worth it. And caring about it and obsessing about it was making me miserable. So I decided,
and them miserable, by the way.
And them miserable. So I decided not to care about it anymore. And my life is extraordinary. Now, there's some other people in my family who still care about it. And I just sit back and watch, and I'm just amazed that they still care about it, and they just make themselves insane over stuff. Everything just goes by me like this. I mean, I still care, and I'm always around, and I do my thing, but like nothing bothers me anymore. You know that one thing your sister does that just drives you insane, or that when your mom tries to do this, she says that one thing that really pushes your button? Like my mom doesn't push my button anymore. I don't allow it. She can do anything she wants. I know it's all coming from love. I know it's the way she is, and I just accept her like that. I don't have to agree with her, but I don't get upset anymore.
The problem with your poor mom is she's been in therapy for so many years, and I mean, it's really not helping her. That's
her
why
therapist has their own therapist.
Yes, of course, of course.
And they can't even figure it out.
Of course.
Yes, she's so proud.
So guys, we're going to get back to a few more questions about indifference here.
So, well, anyway, I was just going to talk about an experience I had. So,
Great.
I'm in sales. I've been in sales for many years. And and actually this all applies to sales.
Correct.
It totally does because I use banter in every sales that I do.
Right.
And that makes, because people see, and I do it in a way that I don't care whether they buy or not.
Right.
I disassociate myself with them wanting, with me wanting them to buy. In fact, I'll talk them out of it. And that makes them want it even more. But, I calibrate it because I make sure that I know that they want it, and then I talk them out of it and make them prove to me that they want it.
How do they prove to you that they want it?
By justifying themselves. They have to justify, exactly.
Powerful.
So anyway, so some years ago, I decided that I need to get over myself. So I decided I'm going to go talk to people in a way, and also I don't care whether they talk to me or not. I'm just going to go talk to guys, girls, it doesn't matter, and to strangers.
Right.
Just to learn how to talk to people, in a social way, not a sales way, but a social way.
Right.
So I started doing that. And one thing that I noticed is when you care too much, you actually push people away.
Absolutely.
You push the sale away. You push everything away. When you don't care, dogs, cats, girls, they flock towards you.
Animals of all species.
Oh, now you're into our advanced realm right now.
Yeah,
You're going to get into animal talk.
So actually, pushing away is actually magnetic. It's attractive, pushing away.
Yep.
Rather than like wanting and desiring, pushing away. So banter basically shows indifference because you say things like, what did you say?
Right.
And so it's a pushing away, but it really magnetically draws them in, and I just go out and play.
You went out and just, what kind of conversations did you have with people to get you to the point where you could do what you just said and have that result?
Okay, just anything. If I'm in a Macy's and they have luggage, I will. If it's a guy, I'll talk to him. Where are you traveling? If it's a girl, I'll tease her about what are you doing?
Are you talking about you're just in there and someone's looking at the luggage and you'll strike up a conversation as another patron? Like as someone who's...
You just happen to be looking for luggage too and someone
I
walks by
think the
you.
best way to talk to people is ask questions.
Right.
Okay.
You ask questions and then use that to gauge the conversation.
What Brent's asking you though is you're not going there purposely to talk to people about luggage. You just happen to be there and someone was around
exactly.
you.
I'm not talking about...
Because Brent goes to women's clothing stores all the time and talks to women and he purposely does that.
I do that. I end up at Victoria's Secret constantly.
If I'm in a Macy's or Nordstrom's and I want to buy a shirt and I see a girl there, I'm going to make her my my consultant,
Oh yeah,
and I'll drag her along with me, and they love that.
exactly.
You know, that kind of thing.
And that's
I'm not even sure what you're asking.
Well, I was just asking, you know,
How-
the results sound really good, that you can figure out that, you know, you understand that the more you don't want something, the more they want to buy from you. I think most guys would be interested in that process.
Right. Through failure.
Of
Through
how you did that.
Right, because...
How you learned it. And
How you learned it, yeah.
Okay, so I was divorced some years ago, and I got a gorgeous girlfriend right away. But the thing is I showed that I cared too much. And so as I went along, I learned the less I care, the more they care. The more I care, the less they care.
Right.
So, and it's just through being bold and being willing to try things that you know, that you're wondering if you would ever do.
Right.
But
So
you just
outside
do
your
them
comfort
anyway.
zone?
Outside the comfort zone,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right,
great.
well, that's cool. I mean, you know, it comes down to the person who cares the least holds all the power.
Right,
Always.
right.
In any
Universally.
relationship.
In everything.
That's how I have such great relationships.
There you go then. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. My question is, a little while ago you guys said, I think it was Mitch, that every once in a while, it's really rare that you do kind of slip back to the way you guys were in the beginning when you see like a really hot girl. And you might feel like some attachment there when you're thinking about approaching her, let's say. Is there something that you could, when you think about all those times, that you could identify and say, well, it happens when maybe like I forget to do my affirmation in the morning, or like it happens when, is there some sort of a cause and effect, or is it just?
Just, you know, everyone has their old habits, and you try and work through your old habits, and once in a while something will slip. And I don't get to the point where I ever approach her and I'm in that mode. I stop myself way before I get there. I just think that girl's hot, I'm kind of scared. Oh no, what am I scared? What am I thinking? I'm like, slap myself across the face. Of course that's stupid. I know that doesn't work. I know the last way to get a hot girl is to behave like she's a hot girl towards her. So if I'm really after a hot girl, I'm going to for sure not get her if I behave
But there's
in
no
that pattern.
trigger.
There's no trigger.
When that happens. Okay.
No,
yeah,
not
so
for
it just
me.
happens.
It
Sometimes
just happens. It's just
everyone's got their demons that
Yeah.
you know, sometimes don't get completely rid of. They're kind of out there, you know.
I mean, that's something that rarely happens to me. And it could be I'm really tired that day and I'm mentally fatigued and I'm just not on my game
Yeah.
or whatever, but it's nothing that consistently happens to me. I'm just telling you, everyone has their issues and their things they're dealing with. It doesn't matter what level you're on. There's always a next level, and there's always an opportunity to go, you know, to make sure that you're not slipping back into old bad habits. And everyone, I know so many people in all different things, not just having to do with
I mean,
socialize.
everybody-
Anyone can slip back into
Yeah,
a bad
you
habit.
get
You
off
have
the
to
wagon and
Yep.
you get back on.
I mean,
it's part
yes,
of the process,
you know.
actually.
Yeah,
Did
it's
anyone
part of the
see
process.
the movie A Beautiful Mind? Do you know what that is? Okay, so, right, he sees things, right, and when he kind of somewhat conquers his mental illness, and they say, well, you know, how did you do it? And he goes, oh, I didn't really conquer it. You know, all the problems are still there. I just no longer acknowledge them. Right? Doesn't mean he's not tempted once in a while. Doesn't mean sometimes they don't slip through and he has to stop himself. But just simply did not acknowledge the issues any longer. Like he didn't take the bait, is what it was, right? And it's a fascinating movie. If you haven't seen it, you should rent it and watch it. It's great. All right.
Any other questions about indifference before we move into the next subject?
Yeah, earlier, Brent, you mentioned about having full control over all your emotions and not letting things bother you in life. Is there any tools or exercises you would recommend for us to practice to be more like that?
Well, just be aware of when you're not doing it and don't make an excuse. How I did it was I used to make excuses for why I couldn't do it. So really, now that I'm telling you that it's possible, you now have to take responsibility for actually I think you probably know when you're about to get angry, don't you? Do you know when you're going to be ticked off or when something's going to bother you, that one thing that when people do it, it just bothers you, or that situation that you just don't like, but you buy into it most of the time? Just simply don't buy into it next time. resist that. So for me, the techniques I used was just being aware, because awareness is like a huge thing. Now that you're aware that you do have a choice, okay, so you have to be careful of why you make the choice that you choose. So if you decide, well, okay, I'm going to decide that when this comes up, I'm going to let my emotions control me. Then the reason you're making that choice is because you get something out of letting your emotions control you instead of the other way around. And what you're getting out of that is, when you look at it, will be ridiculous. It'll be, you want to complain about it, you want to stay where you are, you really don't want to take responsibility and take to the next level, because you might be afraid of the next level. What's going to be there? What would you do with the time if you couldn't complain about how bad your life was any longer? Okay, because we do a lot of that, and we're attached to that. And then realizing that the impact of letting your emotions have control of you is a negative impact, and in your right mind, why would you ever go down that path? So you have to practice some tough love on yourself.
And he's talking about, anger or fear, like I just talked about, that hot girl. She's too hot, I'm scared to talk to her.
But I actually have to have conversations with myself about it too. I will say to myself, Brent, you know that is not a road to go down. Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Just what I just described to you.
Count to 10, and I just let it go. Because I know being angry about that person who cut me off, or that chick who really doesn't understand what I do and went on a tirade about how, okay, or I got a nasty email from some guy who doesn't get what I do, or something like, I have to go, okay, what's that? That's coming up for me, and I need to just let it go, and I let it go. So you just become better. It's practice. So you know it's coming. Try to catch yourself. And
but in the context of indifference, it doesn't just have to do with anger. It can have to do with fear of a hot girl, or fear of this, or happiness about that. That's part of the emotional thing too. It's a positive emotion that you also have to not be attached to in the world of indifference.
And it can be part of your story. So every problem you have can be part of your story, right? I love being able to let go of my anger when I get angry, because it's super cool, and chicks dig that about me, right? And the thing they find most irresistible about me is I always let anger go when it approaches me or whatever. I love giving up attachment to stuff, right? So I've also used that technique. It's how I love something that I shouldn't love, right? So I will say, I love responsibility. And frankly, I hate responsibility. Avoiding responsibility was one of my largest issues in my life.
Was?
Yeah. Well, listen, look, I still am working on myself with that. But my story is how I love taking responsibility, because that is when I am truly in control of my destiny. And it's exciting to be responsible. And I run everything when I'm responsible. And responsibility is hot, and it's sexy, and it's cool, and it's a thing to be, and right? So I talk myself into it. That's a great technique to use with anything, right? That you're avoiding, anything that you're resisting. To use why it's great, why you love doing it. I love doing visualizing. I love lying to myself in the mirror. It's incredible. It always works, right? Talking yourself into it. Yeah, you talk yourself into it, because really, you've spent a lot of time convincing yourself of the current identity that you've created. You've spent years creating this identity that you have. So if I say, who are you? And you tell me, you've created that identity. And you spent a long time doing it. So you've convinced yourself that it is true, when in fact a lot of the stuff isn't true. It's only true through your filter. So wouldn't it make sense that if you convince yourself of the opposite of all your problems, that would also be true? Like if the only story going on in your head was how great you are, and how every decision you make is the correct one, it always turns out awesome, And that one ear that you have that's larger than the other one is the thing that women are so incredibly attracted to, because they're always licking it. And it's like, right? So, I'm being kind of crazy, but that's really what you have to do. It takes being willing to go there as a technique, as ridiculous as it sounds. But when you start to think that it's ridiculous, start remembering how ridiculous your current identity is. You've been lying to yourself for a long time about how bad your life is, because it's not really that bad, other than you've made it that way. So how ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is being attached to complaining? How stupid is that? Who would do that?
We have a guy, just to give you a quick, because we have to move on and get through some stuff through the next break. We have a guy that we know that lives in a very poor country, Florine.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy, we call him Porno. That was his nickname. This guy made $150 a month, broke. He had more women after him. So for you guys that say money is a crutch, it's complete bullshit. This guy had more women after him than most guys that we know. I mean, he was incredible. Super hot girls always after him. And one day he looked at me, he goes, Mitch, I'm poor, but I'm happy, and I get more chicks than most guys I know, because he just didn't care. He didn't care about the outcome, and women would follow him everywhere, right? So it's the whole thing of not saying, well, I don't have any money, so no girls want me, or I don't have any money because of this and that.
He was the guy who had convinced himself that being semi-homeless and living in his car part-time was the hottest thing about him.
Yep, he used to bring girls. He used to bring girls back to his car.
Back
By
to
the way,
his car.
the car didn't run very often. It mostly was broken down all the time.
Like it wasn't even a real car.
Yeah.
Like it was where he lived. And so most guys were out there complaining about all these superficial stuff. And he's like, look, I don't even need that. Why would I take them as far as my house? I just want to bring them in the car.
Right.
Like my car's hot.
He had some like garage shed in his parents' backyard where he could call his quote unquote house. So all you guys that use things as crutches and say, I don't have this because of this and that.
There's always a guy out there who can do it.
There's someone that has a worse way,
Yep.
where you've made up that story that your life's horrible. There's always someone with a worse life, but they still are very happy. So all these things that you put as barriers in your life aren't really barriers. You just made them into barriers for yourself.
They're just artificially created by you.
All right, let's move on to spontaneous banter. What is it, Brent?
What is it? It's being able to think on your feet and come up with something. Sometimes they call it improv. So it's how, like, we walk around and we don't have a script. We just talk smack all the time.
Non-stop. So we're going to give
and
you...
it wasn't always that way, though. We had to learn that. We couldn't do it. I mean, when we were trying really hard to do it, there was no way. We had to figure out technique to figure out how can you just walk around and have stuff that just pops in your mind that you say and everyone goes, God, that's funny. Or like, yeah, that works, you know?
So we're going to give you guys some specific, simple things that you can remember to start off with bantering that are tried and true that we use all the time. And it's all from just experimentation and stupid stuff. And again, coming from a place of full entertainment of ourselves. So one of them that's always works, and I brought it up earlier, is the ass grabbing thing. You know, you walk up, hey girls, how you doing? Oh, great. How are you doing? Well, I'd be doing really well, except for my ass hurts. I just got my ass implants put in. They're like, what? And that accelerates right there to you're talking about ass, right? Right away you went from, hi, how you doing? And where most guys would be, oh, great, how are you? How's your work going? I go straight to ass talk, all right? So we just go right in. And what do you mean? You're lying. No, under the muscle. No way. Yeah, no, you have to do about 300 squats every day, and it's really pain. It's still healing. It's almost there. You're kidding. Show me what. No way. And they always grab my ass, always. And then they'll go to their friends. Look, Sarah, come here. You got to check out this. He just got ass implants. And most of the time, they know I don't, but it's giving them an excuse to accelerate to be able to do something, because now it's not creepy in their minds. I've opened up the door.
Because they're doing it.
They're doing it.
And now there's touching involved.
Yeah. So you just
you're touching within like 2 minutes.
It's super accelerated. So it's using banter to accelerate. This is something you guys can do all the time. And we'll go on about ass. Oh yeah, and then my ass, this and that, and we'll keep talking about the ass until they...
And I go, listen, Mitch, you're looking at ass-tastic tonight.
Yes, I'm feeling man-ass-tastic. I mean, we just keep going and going and going.
And then someone will throw out, did you just grab my ass? Someone just grabbed my ass. I don't know who it was, but someone did it. Would you like, and no, I didn't do it. Would you like to grab my ass? And so we just keep going.
Listen, if you wouldn't stop, you're talking to some girl, if you don't stop grabbing my ass, we're going to have a problem, because, listen, it's already bruised because I was out last night and like 20 girls grabbed it and it kind of hurts right now.
You know what? I feel kind of embarrassed you grabbing it in public. Listen, if you want to grab it in the bathroom, just tell me. And we'll go in there and you can grab it.
So here's your ass talk. You can just accelerate to ass and getting your ass grabbed. Simply practice it, you guys. I'm telling you. Girls will grab your ass when you do this. It happens like 75% minimum of the time that some girl will grab your ass just by talking ass talk to girls.
And use ass as part of other words that you make up that already exist. So like we will use the same ones, the same combinations over and over again. So everything's ass-tastic, glue-tastic, ass-tacular, ass-orific, right? you know, assalicious, okay, right? You know, so you can just kind of,
or in your case,
and there are others. If you want to think up others, go through the dictionary. But if you have like, if you know like the ending, you can just add whatever you want, right? So it's mantastic, mantacular, mansicle, manolantern. I mean, we just go down the thing. We have it all figured out already.
or in your case, because you're so dirty, they have to pour acid on you to clean you off most of the time.
I actually need someone to spray Lysol on me while I walk around
Yes, of
because
course.
it's so dirty.
Of course.
Right, so
So
disinfect it.
the ass,
So-
the glutes, the ass thing, that's something that you guys practice. I'm telling you, it's real simple. But again, you can't do it in a creepy way. You have to do your work to get to this point. It's all about having fun, and you have to say it with a smile on your face and kidding around, because you can't be like, yeah, I just got my glutes. Hey, check them out, and shove your ass in some girl's
Right,
face
you
or
just go
something like
shouting
that.
that stuff around, you probably get slapped or thrown out or something, but you know, there's a way to do it, which is what we're trying to kind of introduce you to today.
So, another one is that we use a lot is,
I had some pec implants actually.
pec
Yeah,
implants.
pec
You can
implants
go-
are good.
You can go
Yeah.
pec implants, or a simple one is a girl will be talking to us and suddenly be like, did you just say you wanted to take me in the bathroom and make out with me?
Right.
So look
there's
at you and
did
they'll be like,
just
huh?
say, which is another
Right. Did you
beginning.
just say?
Did you just say? Okay. So did you just say you
Want to come home with me? Did you just say?
did you want me to come home with you? Did you just say you want to go out to my car and make out? Did you just say you can add anything you guys want? It's limitless, right? Did you just say that you wanted to buy me a car? Did you just say you wanted to buy me Christmas gifts? Did you just say, right? Like, did you say you're going to buy me a cocktail? That would be awesome.
I mean, we do funny stuff like you might be out and talking to some girl and she'll say something, well, you guys, do you ever want to get married?
I go,
Did you just propose to me?
just
I'm
ask
like,
me to
God, I
marry
just
you?"
met you. That kind of
Wow,
stuff.
that's the shortest engagement ever.
That's the kind of stuff when you meet girls that diffuses them and takes you from a whole different level of other guys. You're talking about them grabbing your ass, they're trying to marry you, all these
Right.
things that women, usually don't talk about, and it just diffuses them and it makes them very attracted to you.
Right, and all these things happen to you all the time.
Right.
That is your delusional belief. When I say delusional belief, I mean the funny kind of delusional belief that you have is like, when she says, I didn't grab your ass. Look, I know what getting my ass grabbed feels like because it happens to me all the time, and you grabbed my ass. I know you did. I was over there on the other side of the room. I don't care how long your arm is. Look, you did it. It wasn't me and it wasn't Mitch.
Yes.
Okay? So there's like, or I didn't say that to you. Look, women say that to me all the time, and I know what it sounds like, and that's what it sounded like.
I understand how
And you can use
attracted you are to me.
over that thing I just said over and over with anything that you want to tell her she just said. So
Yep.
the idea is, and another reason we flipped it around was because what we used to do was really pursue women and try to talk them and manipulate them and stuff. It was now, let's tell them how much they want us. Let's flip it on them and tell them, like, let's say stuff that we want them to be thinking. Did you just ask me to make out with you in the bathroom? So it's, did you just say, did you just ask me?
And here's another great
Did
one,
you
guys.
just touch me? Did you
one of my greatest inventions ever is, you see this all the time. You'll be walking somewhere and there's a girl texting on the street.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Are you texting me? Jeez, I can't even get away from you. All you're doing is texting me all the time. All the time. Girls are like,
Why don't you
"Whoa,
just talk to me? I'm standing
Yeah, why
right
don't
here.
you just talk to me?
Are you texting me those dirty things again?
Stuff like that with texting, or a girl on the phone. Are you calling me? I'm right here. You
I
didn't call
I don't
me.
even have your, no, and I'll be the girl. I don't even have your number.
Well, really? Well, here, why don't you? I'm having a champagne party later. If you, here it is. Call me if you want to meet.
We
join
were
up.
walking down the street,
Oh, okay.
and that conversation will take place, and his number gets into her phone within about 30 seconds, and we just keep moving. We don't even
just
talk to her
walk off. We don't
anymore.
even talk to
And
her.
all of a sudden, the phone starts getting texts about half an
Yep.
hour later. Where are you guys at?
Yeah.
Where's the party?
Where you at?
And sometimes
What's
it's as simple as that, just from, are you texting me?
Yep.
Right? So again, it's all about what they're doing to you, about how they're chasing you, about how they think
They're
you're
grabbing your
attractive,
ass.
how they're
They're
grabbing
into
your
you.
ass, they're
They're
texting
trying to
you.
marry you. They're texting you. They're calling
trying to
you.
marry you, trying to talk you into sex. They're trying to do all this kind of crazy stuff. It's basically that theme. So there's, did you just ask me? Did you just say? If you want to, just tell me. That's another one. So if you want to make out with me, just come out and say it. Like, just tell me. Be upfront. If you want to take me into the bathroom,
If you
get
want
down
to
to
treat
business,
me like your sex toy, I want to know right now.
listen, I need to know because a lot of girls have said that to me tonight, and I want to know who means it. You do mean it? You know what I mean? Like, just
You better
play
prove it
with
to me right now.
But so that's another one.
And then in regards to spontaneous banter is, you need to use your surroundings to your advantage. That's another thing too. We'll give you a simple thing. you're on a flight and the flight attendant walks by. And she's got the cart and she says, "Whoa, would you like a drink, sir? Did you just say you wanted to give me a free beer?" She'll look at you. Things like that where you could just
keep
immediately keep it very
Keep
simple.
it simple. Let
But
other
you can-
people give you the ideas of what to banter with them about.
Right. So whatever it is
So you don't
want,
have to do any thinking hardly.
because bantering doesn't just, like we said, it applies to other things in life like getting discounts and all that kind of stuff. It's all about did you and wherever you're at. So, we walk in here and in this hotel and, we walk into the room and the guy who owns the hotel just walked in. I'm like, he goes, "Hey, good morning. How you guys doing? Did you just say you wanted to give us a discount on being in this room today?" And he looks at me. He's like, "Huh?" But it just is nonstop, the stuff that we do. It's did you?
And I don't think
Why are
we've
you saying that?
Maybe paid for drinks once when we fly. And
Right.
it's not something, and we would do it now because it's just funny.
It's funny,
because
yeah.
we get away with it all the time. Like sometimes we'll sit in first class and sometimes we'll sit in coach. When we're in coach, they'll go up into the front class cabin and bring us cookies that they make for the first class passengers. But we will be bantering. Now every other person is sitting around angry that they're on the flight because flight service sucks, right?
We get like a beer every 10
We have a great
minutes.
time. We know they're doing a hard job and they get complained at all the time. So we try to brighten their day a little bit by bantering. Did you just ask us to buy us beers? Awesome, let's go. And then the
Let's get
beers
this
just keep
party
coming.
started. Let's get it
There
going.
we go. Let's get this plane party started. I remember that recently we walked on and we were in first class, and we had just come from a coaching all day, and we had been drinking all day, champagne. We get on in the first class, and they start handing out the champagne. We go, let's get this champagne party started in first class. And everybody was like, what the hell? What's going on? And we were just bantering. The girls were coming over, and it was just like, we bring the party.
The bottom line is use your surroundings. You're wherever you're at, Starbucks, an airplane, whatever. Use your surroundings to your advantage when you're bantering. You can banter anywhere. That's the beautiful thing about banter. It does not matter where you are.
Let things and people give you ideas for what to banter at. And as long as you have some of the outlines that we gave you of the structure of the sentences, whether they are statements or questions, and then you just do the fill-in on your own, and then you see things like drinks, discounts, this, that, it'll just become clear to you. Free coffee at Starbucks, all that stuff. Let people just give you stuff like girls typing on her thing at Starbucks and go, "Are you emailing me? I'm sitting right next to you. Why don't you just say it to me?" Right? Like,
So your
let them
surroundings,
give you
you-
the stuff to
yep.
banter about. So it doesn't have to be hard. Don't make it complicated like, I'll never be able to do this because I just don't think quickly and I'm not funny and I could never be funny. Stop that kind of thinking and just tell yourself how easy banter is. I'm super funny. I'm always relaxed. Banter comes easy to me because I'm so relaxed and I let other people tell me what to banter about. It's awesome. I just kick back and people give me all the ideas to banter. So convince yourself again how funny, and I'm funny. I'm really funny and I'm spontaneous. And I come up with things out of nowhere. I come up with things off the cuff. Instantly, I always have something to say, rather than the story that you probably tell yourself, which is why you can't do it. So just humor us and do an experiment for 30 days while you tell yourself, instead of why it is impossible, tell yourself why it is possible. Because that's how we did it. We thought, well, how do we tweak this? We're just going to tell ourselves that we're good at it.
And we're constantly innovating.
And maybe we'll be good at it.
Yeah.
And that was part of the secret of spontaneity. And that's, if you ever go to improv class, the comedy improv classes, they will teach you all these things, kind of some of the stuff that they give an outline, and they say, here's sentence structure, here's joke structure, and then you just fill in stuff and you use things that people tell you and that you see, and then people go, God, that person's brilliant. How do they do that? There's a process to it all. There's a science to it all. It's all been broken down before. Now, what that does is some people are truly gifted and they're funny and humorous, but what's allowed that to come out is they've found a process that makes it easy to be funny, funnier than the next person. And since most people aren't funny, guess what? It's not hard to be really funny.
Even if you're 10% funnier than you are now, you're 10% ahead of the game.
Most people are telling themselves they wish they were funny. If you're telling yourself, I am funny, then you're way ahead of everybody already, even if you haven't even started practicing yet. You just keep telling yourself you are. So, those sentence structures are really important. And
did you just say, did you want to? So you can use anything. You can be in Starbucks and there's some girl in line with you. Did you just say you're going to buy me a coffee? I mean, that's just you're not really trying to get her to buy you a coffee, but that's a funny way to open up dialogue with a girl and just start talking shit to her after that. So it's all about heckling, talking crap. Did you just say you wanted to do this? Did you? If you want to, then go ahead and do it. So we're going to take another break in a few minutes, but what we thought would be really interesting while you're in here, and then we'll Q&A a little bit after the break, is for you guys to pair off a little bit and practice a few things and actually say it to each other, even though, you know, we're not. You can do ass talk to each other. You just pretend that you're not doing gay things. Just talk to each other, and just so you can practice it. Because then when you're out, you really have to practice it with someone a couple of times before you start doing it, because it can be perceived in a very bad way if you don't have a funny, good attitude about it. So
and we'll go into later how we talk to each other and how we build each other up, like more specifically, because we do it all the time. We do it all day long.
So I think just like give yourselves about 5 minutes and just practice a few things. I'm telling you, it's really important to practice. We do it with each other all the time. We're like,
we do it on the phone verbally. We do it through text. We do it not through email, but mostly through text and in person. We do. So
you really got to be able to banter with your buddies, and that's how we psych ourselves up, and how we really mastered banter was by doing it with each other constantly all the time, because that's the whole thing about getting better at banter is to consistently banter with each other, your friends.
And then it becomes automatic. Like it becomes your daily ritual, your habit. And once it's a habit, like brushing your teeth, banter just comes out. Like we're walking around and you just be joking around all the time. People go, God, how do you come up with that stuff? But it's really, there's a process to getting the habit going. So that's why we walk around all the time and all we do is talk smack.
Yep.
You know?
Doesn't matter who it's to or whatever. Walking
we
down
just
the
have a
street
great
everywhere.
time and we just do it. And it's fun.
And people love it.
And it keeps you really sharp. It keeps you, and again, we are open to coming up with brand new terms and sentence structures, and sometimes we do, and we go, oh, no, that one doesn't work, but let's try it. How about if we said this? You know, and it's fun to do it. I love doing it. It's really fun.
And when we're out, I'll listen to something Brent will say, and I'll be like, wow, that really worked. Or he'll do the same with me. We're like, just because we're entertaining ourselves, again, for no other reason than that. So why don't we take 5 minutes and you guys just practice a little and get an idea, because some of you may have tried bantering before, and some of you maybe haven't. But just try for like 5 minutes, and then we can kind of talk a little bit about that after, and then after the break, and then we'll get into some other final important subjects.
Yeah. So just have an open mind, be cool, and pair off or whatever, and
just try it out
and try it. See what you come up with.